Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Fort.
That's right.
This is so fun. This is designed by Grant Rodiak, and it is published by Leader Games.
All right, so have you ever, built a fort with your friends around the neighborhood?
No.
Not even like in the winter, like a snow
Yes!
fort?
No, totally done that. So I remember I have this very distinct memory. Matt, if you're watching this, I wonder if you have the same memory. Matt's my brother. Anyway, but we...
Just all Matts out there.
Just Matt, so like half
Do you
the
share
world.
this memory?
I have this distinct memory in our driveway. You know when you shovel and you shove it all to one side? We actually took all of that and we made this huge tunnel that went up the entire driveway, and I just remember it being so exciting, in that tunnel. We're all kids, we're all outside. I'm sure, looking back on it now, my mom was just so excited that all the children were outside for so long and not in the house, because there was a lot of us. But yeah, I remember that.
So, yes, absolutely. Making forts is, quintessential for an awesome summer childhood,
Yes.
or winter in your
Yes.
case. So this is what this is about. You have a whole bunch of friends, and you are running around building a fort. All the other players are building their own fort with their own friends as well, and you are trying to build the best fort. Let me give you a quick overview of how to play. All right, here's a 3-player setup for fort. This is our board. We've got 2 opponents over there. We've also got the main board in the middle here. What we've got the park, which includes 3 face-up cards as well as the park deck of all the face-down cards. This also includes our victory track. The game is going to end once one player reaches 25 points or more, or we have our fort track along here. One player gets to their 5th level of the track. At that point, we're going to finish out the round so everyone has an equal number of turns, and then we're going to count up all of our points to see who has the most points. All right, this is a deck building game, so the way we're going to build our decks is every fort starts with 2 best friends. These are cards that have those stars at the bottom of them. And then we're going to randomly add in 8 more cards from the deck in order to make a 10-card deck. Now, once you're a little bit more advanced in the game, once you kind of know the game a little bit better, you can actually draft those cards, taking one, passing the rest, taking one, passing the rest. And that way you can kind of cultivate your own personalized 8 cards instead of just taking 8 off the deck. But either way, you're going to take those 8 cards, plus your 2 best friends, shuffle them all together, and now you're ready to play. The turn summary is printed right here on our player board. Basically what's going to happen is, if there's anybody in your yard at the beginning of your turn, you're going to discard them. Of course, here at the beginning of the game, you can kind of skip that phase. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand of 5 cards. You're going to draw 5 cards off the top of your deck, and you're going to choose one of them to play. Only one card. However, some cards are going to allow you to play extra things. So, for instance, this particular card says, if you can take a pizza, this is one of the resources, either pizza or toys, based off of how many skateboards you've played with it. It comes with one by itself, but also we can add in 2 more from our hand. So what we could do is we could say, we're going to take 3 pizzas because we're going to play these 3 cards. We're playing this one card, but then kind of adding 2 more to it. We'll take 3 from the resource and add it to our stuff. On our board, we have our stuff, which is our resources that we are holding. We also have our pack over here. Our pack is determined by how many, what our fort level is. It's our fort level plus 1. Right now we have a fort level of 0, so we can only hold 1 thing in our pack. Same thing with a lookout action. It can hold the amount of cards based off of the fort level plus 1. On this card, in addition to having the top action which we just took, there's also a secondary action that everyone has a chance to play. So this particular one says you're going to get victory points based off of how many items are in your pack. Right now we don't have any, so that's not going to do us a whole lot of good. But also, if we had done that, everyone has a chance to follow us by playing a similar suit. So if we had a skateboard, we did that action, everyone else would be able to play the exact same card from their hand, the same roller skate suit, in order to activate that ability as well. Alright, so now what's going to happen is, after everyone's done that, we're going to discard the cards off to the side over here. Any cards from our hand that we did not use, they're actually going to stay out into our yard. And then, we're going to recruit somebody. We can recruit somebody from either the face-up cards, the face-down cards, or someone else's yard. So that's why whatever cards you don't use get played up in the yard. Those are basically available for other people to take. So let's say, in this case, we want to take... we're going to kind of keep on going with our skateboarding trend. We're going to put that over the discard pile as well. At that point, then we would discard to the yard, and now we're going to draw back up to 5 cards from our deck. As you can see, there are a ton of different symbols on these cards. They all represent different actions, and if that gets a little bit overwhelming, there is a really handy player aid that goes through all of the different actions and just kind of tells you exactly what each symbol means. So if you see that symbol, you know that means add a copy of your pack to your stuff. Or if you see that symbol, that means pay a pizza from your stuff or your pack. So all these different things, all different suits are listed up here. This is all the iconography you need, all in one handy layout. If you come across an action that lets you update your fort, you have to pay whatever resources is to the next step you're going up. In this case, we have to pay any 2 resources in order to go up. So these 2 would go back into the resources. We would go up 1. At this point, in your very first upgrade, you're going to be able to chance to draw a card from that deck. Those are some made-up rules. Basically, you're going to be able to flip through them, choose one that you like, and it's a rule that you get to break from here on out. Similarly, next time you upgrade, you have to pay those resources, in this case, 1 pizza, 1 toy, and then one of your choice, in order to get a perk. Those are some perk cards over there. Those are going to give you some special abilities as well. So let me say that again. The first time you upgrade your fort, you should grab a made-up rule, which basically is going to be some additional scoring parameters that apply only to you. The second time you update your fort, you get to grab a perk, which is some rule-breaking cards. The more you upgrade your fort, the more expensive it gets. However, it's also going to give you additional things. First of all, like those 2 cards that we mentioned. Also, additional lookout storage and additional stuff pack storage. But then also, if you get it all the way to the end, not only are you going to trigger the end of the game, but you're also going to get the macaroni sculpture, which is some additional victory points that's going to help you out. Adding cards to your lookout can be a really strong action. Basically, what that allows you to do is it allows you to place cards underneath your board, so that way you kind of have built-in symbols. So when you play a card that says, for every squirt gun that you have, gain a resource or gain a victory point, or whatever the case is, in this case, you've got a built-in squirt gun that's going to help you out along the way. That's really all there is to the game. On your turn, you're going to play 1 card that you might be able to add extra cards to make it stronger. The rest of the cards are going to go into your yard. By the way, best friends never go into the yard. They always go into the discard pile, even if you didn't use them, because they're your best friends. They're going to stick with you no matter what. And then at that point, you're going to get a chance to draft someone for free, whether it's from someone else's yard, from the top deck, or from the yard pile up there, or the park pile over there. And then you're going to draw 5 more cards to do it all over again. It's kind of a race to try to get 25 points, or to get your fort all the way maxed out to level 5. And you're going to add up all your points from all your different things that you've been doing, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins.
I thought it was so interesting that in this game, it's a deck builder, right? And every single deck builder I've ever played, forever and always, you have to have something in order to get the cards, some type of resource or money. But no, that is not the case in this game. You just take a card. You get a new friend every turn. And sometimes you get to steal other people's friends every turn. And I just thought that was so creative that while you're building up your deck, the resources in the game have nothing to do with building up your deck. Probably because, like, when you're a kid, friends really are that fickle. They just go from place to place and they run around.
Yeah. People just make friends.
Yeah.
In your 30s, not quite as easy.
Speaking about people just making friends, if any of you guys have kids and they'll play at a playground, like younger kids, and they'll be like, yeah, that's my new friend. I'm like, what's their name? They're like best friends, but they don't even know each other's names. But yeah, I just thought that was so clever and interesting. And I hadn't seen that done before, and it worked really well. Probably because you're only taking the one, and probably because you can only play 1 card. So it's not like you can get like a huge synergy thing going on.
Right. I think that's really beneficial to the game design that you are always incentivized to keep building up your fort. That's the name of the game. That's kind of the main scoring opportunity. And it's also one of the things that just drives the whole thing. For instance, there's this action called the lookout action, which allows you to kind of tuck cards under and use their symbols kind of permanently, which is really, really beneficial for the other cards. You always kind of have like a +1 of that particular symbol. But you can only hold 1 plus your number of fort, your level of fort, in order to use that lookout action. So if you get to level 3, 4, 5, you're holding, 4, 5, 6 cards, which is really fantastic. Similarly, there's 2 areas where you have your resources. There's your stuff, but then you also have your pack. And your pack is like extra resources that eventually might be able to sift into your stuff, or there's opportunities to gain points from your pack. And the higher your fort level, the more items you're able to hold in your pack. So you're kind of always going to incentivize, keep on moving your pack up, keep on moving your fort up. And in fact, when you're starting best friends, their only ability is to move up your fort.
Yeah.
So I like how that was kind of always progressing. You're always progressing, always moving forward.
Yeah, I really like what the names of everything were too. My stuff, my pack, fort, lookout. It's just like so straightforward and basic. I also extremely loved the art direction of this. Like, I wanted to watch the cartoon about this, or I wanted to find Fort graphic novel with all of these kids in there just being absolutely like terrors in their neighborhood for the summer. Like I don't know. It was very evocative for me in the best way possible. I was intrigued, and there's like this one card, I can't remember what it was called, but it had to do, I think the suit was glue because it had to do something with sticky. There was like these two siblings that are trying to like pull apart from each other, but they're all like glued together, and I'm like, I feel that. Like I feel that, especially with our daughters right now. Oh my gosh, like I was like
sticky.
Yes, I was there for it.
I think that when you first play the game, you are dealt 8 random cards to pair with your 2 best friends, and that makes your starting 10-card deck. But there's also this kind of advanced rule that once you're more familiar with the game, you get to draft the cards. So everybody gets the same best friends, but then they also get 8 cards dealt to them. They keep 1 past the rest, keep 1 past the rest, that kind of a thing. Man, I would suggest getting to that level as soon as possible. The first time you play the game, you don't have a lot of synergy, and you don't really know why. You just okay, cool. And then eventually, some strategies kind of develop as you're playing, and everything kind of clicks. But so then you understand why drafting becomes important. You're like, oh, if I had a whole bunch of the same suit, I could make a whole big action of this. Or, you know what, if I had this ability, that would trigger into this ability, and that would trigger into this ability, which would give me a lot of points on this card, or whatever the case is. So you can kind of draft your own strategies. Getting to that point would be ideal. That's where you want to get to that as soon as possible. But then also, later on, once you're even more familiar with the game, there is an expansion that you can pick up called the Dogs and Cats. Super, super fun. It was just a small pack of cards, but there's 2 modules. You can either play one or the other or both. The dogs, what they do is they're kind of like friends. They go into your deck the same way, but what they do is they run from yard to yard, which is really thematically fun. But also, their abilities are pretty strong. And in order to pull them off, usually take some extra actions or resources to do it. But then they stay in your doghouse after that. They found their home. They're going to stay there for the rest of the game. And then they're going to be able to score you a lot of points if you're the person who has the most dogs. So that's really fun. The cats are way more persnickety, is a word that we picked up recently. Yes. They only come to your yard if you've met certain parameters. But then they give you a constant ability. But guess what? If someone else, another opponent, makes that same situation happen, they're going to go to that yard. They don't care about you. They're cats. They're indifferent. They just want to go wherever they're most comfortable.
Yeah. So I do want to say that there's these cards, the made-up rule cards. And even though this works totally great 2-player, I think with the made-up rules, it's going to work better if you have more players, just because a lot of those are dependent on certain cards coming out. And so when you have more players, more cards come out. It's just as simple as that. But it works totally fine with 2-player. You'll just see more cards for those made-up rules. And also, I just wanted to mention, it was so funny when we were reading the rule book, and it kept saying, if you can't play a card, if you can't use it to its full ability, you can't play it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. But then it's so you can have all these cards that you didn't use left over in your yard so other people can steal them. Like, they really make it to where that happens. So overall, this was super fun. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like this, it brought me like this nostalgic feeling of my childhood, right? Even though, I mean, I was outside a lot. I think a lot of us in our childhoods were outside a lot, at least a lot more than our children are outside now. And so it brought me back to that. It brought me back to being outside and playing in the creek and running around in the neighborhood and checking in a couple of times during the summer. So I really liked that this game was fun, and it brought me back an interesting way to do deck building, but it also brought me all these like really fun nostalgic emotions while I was playing it too, which I did not expect to happen, but it did, and it was really fun.
I am a deck building aficionado. I am a deck building, I don't know what you want to call it. Connoisseur, yes, absolutely. I know deck builder, okay? I know deck building. When it comes to deck building, I know it.
He knows it.
I opened this box. I knew it was a deck building game, and I was like, cool, I love deck building. I can't wait to play this. Open the box. There's like hardly any cards. I'm like,
he's like, false. This is not a deck building game.
Okay, so how are you going to make a deck building game with just a few cards? I don't think so. This is fake news. This is not a deck building game. This is a game that has a deck building element to it, or whatever it was. And then immediately we started playing it, and I was like, oh, that's how they did it.
Yeah.
This is awesome. The way that they made this deck building happen, it didn't feel like deck building. You were doing all the deck building things. You were drawing up to the end of 5 cards, discarding at the end of your turn. You're doing all those same things. But to me, it didn't feel like deck building because the thematic kind of stuff kind of came through. What it felt like is these are the 5 friends that you're playing with this turn, and this is the one that's kind of taking the lead on this particular action, and these are the friends that were helping out with that action. And then guess what? I'm gonna get a whole new friend this turn. I'm gonna get a friend from the deck or whatever, and then you just do it all over again. So because of thematic tie-ins and the way that each card kind of had multiple uses, and the way that you were kind of only using 1 card per turn, essentially you could boost it up obviously, but you're only activating 1 card per turn, it really made that work, which I didn't know how they were going to do that.
Yeah.
It was very, very interesting. Probably one of the most unique deck building games I've played.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.